Welcome to the Peachtree Morning Show by DCI. It's a wise way to start the day. Hope you enjoy.
Hello everyone. This is Wednesday, March 25th. Welcome back to Peachtree Morning Show. And this is the owner, Geshe Michael, and this is Danny and Shopping Alison. Hello. And today we have a very good question from Eric from Germany. Let's take a look.
And we have very good cake from Veronica.
Yay.
Biomedical research, but I think my problem is something that other disciplines experience as well. So since the world is rapidly changing, new information is coming in all the time. I find it very hard to stay up to date in my business and to see the bigger picture behind of this new information. So therefore, sometimes I feel overexcited because of this information explosion. What seeds do I have to plant to manage this problem and to focus on the most important things? Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, for this important question, because now we are in the time that every day, ever since we wake up, and then we look at our cell phone, we see so many information coming in. It's like explosion of information. So Eric's question is about how can we stay so much information, but how can we stay up to date and see a bigger picture? And also, how can we plant the seeds to manage the problem of feeling overwhelmed by the information explosion? And also, how can we plant the seed to see what's important? So I think many people will be very interested in this question. And I'm also curious to know what you think.
Okay, I'll start by talking about a thing called lifetime learner. It just came to my mind that like Geshe often say, we are used to be uncomfortable with new information when we were in college or high school. But after we, start working, like we start to have a job, and then we tend to get lazier and lazier. We don't study as a student anymore. So I think it would be really healthy if maybe you already have this habit, but for me it's healthy to have this student mentality, like student for life mentality. And every day it's a new learning experience. And I sort of expect something that I don't understand. I think that mentality will help me or other people with this information explosion. That's my first idea. Yeah.
So do you mean that to embrace the information explosion?
Now, as if you're a student.
Okay.
Yeah, because when we become adult, we have been working for about 10 years, and we recognize that some people might lose that mentality as a student, to have this open-minded thinking for things they don't understand. They avoid the things they don't understand. So I think if we can keep a fresh mind as a student, always, and a student's job is to learn. And to learn something means you don't understand it. So it's good to have this mentality. Yeah.
Cool.
What comes in my mind, and we have an actual interesting method to prepare for Peachtree Show, is we don't prepare. And then we just kind of, in English it's called free association. Just whatever thought comes in our mind, we talk about it. And suddenly it came in my mind the difference between Hinayana and Mahayana. So lower capacity person and larger capacity person. Yana means capacity, and Hina means small, Maha means big. And then, so if you're a small capacity person spiritually, then traditionally you would try to block the information. You will go stay in a cave, or you will go stay in a retreat cabin, and you will turn off your phone and your computer, and you will ask people not to tell you what's going on. Like in my 3-year retreat, the newspaper came to interview us after the retreat, because they say you are the only people in the world who didn't hear about 9/11. And it was 2 years later, So that's a Hinayana method to cope with too much information, is to block it.
Oh, I see.
And then the Mahayana method is to plant the seeds that your mind can be more open to more information and can process it successfully and use it for higher goals, you know. So like in the lower school, the monk cannot keep second pair of clothes. It's not allowed, and they break the vow. And in the bodhisattva vow, the higher teachings, if someone gave you a whole building full of cloth, you're supposed to keep it, so you can help more people with it. So I think that kind of bodhisattva's idea where I want to expose my mind to as much as possible. I will increase the capacity of my mind. I won't try, like you said, I won't try to limit what I'm learning. Or I won't even try to focus on this or that. I will try to find a state of mind which can learn all of those things and be comfortable.
So, very interesting. So, I guess then our audience, Eric and our audience of Peachtree Morning Show want to know how can we plant the seeds? What can we do so we can have the capacity to handle such huge amount of information and can transform it into something that we can see a bigger picture or we can help more people.
What do you think?
I'm sure Geshe-la is a master of that, so I'll offer a little of my humble opinion. One of the helpful way could be a daily meditation, because the basic instrument for us to master this knowledge without mass of knowledge, without being overwhelmed. The basic instrument we need to use is our body and our mind, especially our mind. So how can we train our mind? So meditation is a great way of training our mind. Like we have been learning the lion's dance meditation, for example, where we jump from a tiny sugar crystal to a whole piece of the whole Pacific Ocean. This kind of stretching of your mind, it's very helpful. If you can practice that in your daily meditation, it will be good. And of course, the core of everything is emptiness, like the Pan story. If we can go deeper and deeper into the Pan story, I feel like it kind of opened up the whole potential of your mind, and then you can learn things much faster than you could ever imagine.
I think there's another also thing about your motivation. And when you get a new piece of information, it's like people, you know, I speak to like 35,000 people a year when there's no viruses. And I have something like 30,000 emails waiting for me. And I kind of have a thing where I don't try to, I look at an email. I look at the header and I say, does that sound like something I can use to help people? Does that sound like something I can use to help people? And if it doesn't sound like something I can use to help people, I don't open the email. You know, so maybe that's a useful thing. You know, when you get a new information, you say, the test is, can I use this to help somebody?
Yeah.
So,
And if the answer is no, then I don't spend time on it.
That's helpful.
so are you saying that actually we are also choosing what our mind are exposed to? If we expose our mind to information that we can use to help other people, if there are information which is just insignificant or it's not, cannot help us to help other people, then we can protect our mind from exposing to it, right?
Yeah, I think to cut down the number of pieces of information, use a filter. And what's the filter? When you first see the first part of that information, you say to yourself, can I use this? Does it look like I will be able to use this to help somebody? And if the answer is no, then just skip it and go on to the next piece of information.
Cool. And Eric also asked about how can we plant the seeds to know what information is important. What do you think about it? It's a very cool question.
How can we plant a seed to distinguish. Like,
Yeah.
Distinguish what
Successfully.
information is
Yeah.
important, what is not.
One idea just came to my mind. So Geshe is teaching us to translate many books, and then one of the good book that we're working on is called Abhidhamma Kosha, and then they have a definition of wisdom.
Yeah.
Like what is wisdom in Abhidhamma system? They say it's kind of like the capacity to discriminate between good things and bad things,
Yeah.
like stained and unstained. So I don't know if it's gonna be helpful, but in general, wisdom could mean this is helpful, this is not helpful, and then we choose the helpful one. So back to my first idea. I think if we keep studying more and more about the Pan story, the two husbands in the kitchen, and then we meditate on it, then automatically we will have this wisdom in our mind to tell us, oh, this is good to go for, and this is not so helpful right now. Yeah.
Cool.
What do you think, Geshe?
Well, I also encourage you to plant the seeds to expand your capacity. And we made a very ambitious program at the college, Sedona College, and we were going to have about 60 translation classes in every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In the great books from each school of 25 centuries. And it was very ambitious, you know. And then we started, and it's so much information. It's so overwhelming amount of and important stuff, you know, great stuff, but thousands and thousands of facts. And then what I found was in the monastery, they have a tradition that every, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, you should attend a class of the higher students. So the people who are 2 years away from Geshe, who studied for 18 years, then the freshman, the 1 year, first year student, is required to go sit in that class for an hour every 2 weeks. And they have no idea what they're talking about, nothing. And then I asked the teachers, I said, why do you make people do that, you know? They just get confused. They don't know what they're talking about. It's very technical. It's like sending a third grade kid to the physics class in the university.
Oh, no.
Wow.
And they're just like, and they said, no, you must learn to relax in an ocean of deep information that you don't understand. So it's a kind of pride
I see.
to think you have to understand it all. And so they said, it's important for a person to learn to sit in a room and don't understand anything going on and don't have pride and just enjoy and relax and open your mind and let those things come in your mind and maybe you will understand them 5 years from now.
Okay.
And feel comfortable with that. So I think maybe embrace all the, if it's useful information, like you say you're in the biomedical,
Study.
so everything you hear is going to help your patients, right? So just relax. Don't feel you have to understand it all. And don't feel you have to remember it all.
Oh, okay.
But just relax, open your mind, and sit there.
Cool.
And then 10 years later, you're in a debate in the monastery, and you remember what you heard.
That's
Nice.
very different from our modern education system.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Due to time, so I think let's do some summarize, and then maybe each of us can give one practical tips.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, Stanley.
Yeah, because you mentioned about Eric. You mentioned about how can we master overwhelming information for business also, like to have a good business strategic focus. Because if we are drowned in the ocean of information and we don't have a clue of where we are going, it will be a problem. So my idea is I what I tend to do is a daily meditation on our business strategy problem. So there are 3 kinds of meditation. One is like a review meditation, a list of things you want to understand. That you can use too. Number 2 is like a single-pointed focus meditation, like you just focus on one thing, like the pen story. Number 3 is called problem-solving meditation. So my idea for you is maybe you can analyze all this information you get from the internet or books or from the world, and then take it to your meditation. And then in your meditation, when you might get more quiet, actually it has bigger capacity to analyze this information and figure out what's the strategy for your business, what will be helpful for your business. That's what we usually do actually, and we get great result from it. That's my idea. Yeah.
Thank you, Stanley. Me? Yeah, I would like to share, I think it's 2 points, but very quickly. One thing is you mentioned about how can we see the bigger picture. So I think what will help is that if we can spend more time to studying how the world is really function, how it really function. It's based on cause and effect. If we can maybe in the meditation or in your study, spend some time to think about how the world is functioning. The world is running by the seeds. So if we can think about the cause and effect, think about seeds and emptiness, and then I think it will help us to grasp a bigger picture, and then we can figure out what is more important. Personally, I think it help me, and that's the first thing. Second thing, I think maybe you can try every few months, maybe or once a month. It's up to you. Maybe you can try to do some circle day. A few days ago, John Brady and Connie O'Brien, the senior design teacher, they have talk about circle day. But if you are interested, you can listen to that episode. And also, I think it helped me to once a while we can do some circle day, and then we can dispose our mind to the idea of emptiness and seeds, and then it can usually after I finish the circle day, it can help me to grasp a bigger picture, and it can really help me to know clearly what is important information and what is not. So maybe you'd like to give it a try and do your own experiment. How about you, Geshe?
Well, I have a strange idea.
Yeah.
Which is very normal for me.
Yes, it's not strange that.
But today this week before the shows, we went out and we worked for 2.5 hours, and we planted some peach trees at the Peachtree Cafe, and so we're very busy people. We have big companies. We have a lot of companies, and we're very, very busy people. And there's the planting the peach tree, right?
Yeah.
And I have to say that if you take time off and you go plant a peach tree and you get some fresh air and you get some sunlight and you get your hands dirty, and your dog jumps up on you, then your mind will be more relaxed, and you will be able to handle more information. So I think sometimes you have to go Hinayana, get away from the information. And we saw a master class by Michael Iger, is it? Iger?
Bob Iger.
Bob Iger,
yeah.
who's the head of
Disney.
Walt Disney.
CEO of Disney.
And he was talking about that. He was talking about that's one of his secret business weapons, is to take an hour out of the day and do something else. And, I think, find cool things that you can do for an hour. Play music or, do something cool. And then your capacity to handle information increases. Cool. Do you have another question for us for tomorrow? For Thursday the 26th.
Right.
And I think Scott Norrie will be here. We'll see.
Yes, let's try.
Morning from the UK. Millions of people are now on lockdown. We are forced to settle down and stop our normal lives. Many of us do not know what to do with our newfound time, and I see a tendency and a great risk to dwell or deepen into our own addictions, our bad habits, like lots of food, chocolate, alcohol, more TV, and any other mind-numbing activities. What should we do to avoid deepening our bad habits and addictions in this situation when it's so easy to plunge into temporary pleasure because we might feel lonely, disconnected, and bored? Thank you.
Wow.
Great. She has great questions.
Yeah, great questions.
Okay. See you tomorrow for an answer.
See you.
Bye.
Thanks for watching today's Peachtree Morning Show. See you next time.